Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Journey Live. My name is Lodro, and I am very excited. We are in minute one of a bazillion minutes that we are going to be talking about relationships. And what I mean by that is that we are on day one, week one of a 5-week series here at noon EST that covers how do we actually cultivate a loving heart. And that doesn't always mean long-term relationships. In fact, we only spent about a week of the 5 weeks on long-term relationships. This particular week, we're focusing entirely on how to offer love to ourselves. How can we actually cultivate an open and awake heart that is kind and friendly to ourselves? Each day actually will have an associated reading with it. So I was asked to do this series around two of my books, one of which is Love Hurts, Buddhist Advice for the Heartbroken. The other one is How to Love Yourself and Sometimes Other People. And there'll be more information coming about these books, and if anyone wants to purchase them and follow along, I do recommend that so that you get a little bit more view and study and understanding of these topics than what we have time for in these short sessions. So if you are interested, those would be the two root sources to get, and each day we'll be doing different ones. If you only want to do one of the books, I would say maybe get How to Love Yourself and Sometimes Other People. Because that is the primary book that goes into the various sections of offering love to ourselves, when we're feeling alone, when we are dating, when we are in friendship with others, when we are in long-term relationships. There's so many versions of offering love. And the reason that I wanted to start here with offering love to ourselves is because as the Zen master Paul Charles is often fond of saying, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love anybody else? So this is the notion that we can actually cultivate a loving heart toward ourselves, and then we have more love, a deeper well to draw from when offering love to others. So we're spending a full week on offering love to ourselves before we move into offering love to other people in our life. And the associated reading here for this week is page 17 of Love Hurts, and I'll do a short reading at the end. But I want to move into the meditation in a minute after welcoming everyone, because it's such an incredible group that we have today. It's really amazing to see this many people turn out at noon. Anna, it's great to see you. Alex, Scarlett, Bryn, good to have you back. Angela is here. Wendy's here. Rebecca, Pamela, great. Anush, good to see you. Melody, Vivian, and Jennifer, I believe it is your first time here at Journey, which is awesome. Really sort of an auspicious moment for you to join because we do have 5 weeks together of this noon slot. So if you want to do every day, you could. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to ask them. Just chat them into the chat box. But I will guide us every step of the way through the meditation. So let's get into the meditation. We'll have some time afterwards to sink in and do a little bit more of a reflection around love and offering love to ourselves. If you want to start by just seating yourself into a position that's comfortable. I don't recommend running around while you do these meditations. I recommend really taking the 15 minutes to just settle in and be in a rooted position. So if you are on a cushion like me, you can sit with your legs loosely crossed with your knees dropping a little bit below the hips. If you are on a chair, just place your feet firmly on the ground, about hips width apart. You can sit a little bit away from the back of the chair. So we feel a sense of being grounded and balanced as we sit down to meditate. Taking a deep breath here. Lifting up through the spine, elongating upwards, vertebrae by vertebrae. Relaxing the shoulders. Relaxing even the muscles in the arms. If you want to place your palms down on the thighs, you might find that to be a grounding and supportive gesture. Just keeping them about an inch or two away from the kneecaps. The head rests at the top of the spine with our chin slightly tucked in. Making a conscious choice here to either close the eyes for the duration of our sit, or to leave them open, just resting the gaze a few feet ahead of you on the ground in a very loose and unfocused manner. Having settled into the body, we've also settled into the present moment, our current experience of however the body is today. And now we bring our attention to something we haven't focused on just yet, but has already been happening, which is the breath. So just notice at this point the body breathing, bringing our full attention to feeling the in-breath and the out-breath as it naturally moves through us. Now, meditation is not a process of just deciding to be with the breath and experiencing everlasting peace and calm, right? We know this. We notice that the mind kicks up thoughts all day, every day. It's just what the mind does. We can't fight it. It might as well just say, well, I don't want my heart to beat so loud. It's just what the heart does. It beats. So here we just acknowledge when we drift off. And there are thoughts, we acknowledge it, we say, okay, and then we come back to the body breathing. This is different than chasing after every thought, trying to solve all of the problems in our life. For these few minutes, we're just giving ourselves the gift of some space and time to relax with the body breathing, to just be present. In some traditions, we might, in this moment, acknowledge that we've drifted off and just silently say to ourselves, thinking, and then come back to the breath. If you want to do that, you can, but I'm going to, in the theme of this particular series on relationships, offer a potential suggestion that you can take or not take. Instead of saying thinking when you drift off in meditation, gently say to yourself, I love you. Just offering yourself a moment of unconditional friendliness toward yourself. Not, oh, you jerk, you're thinking, just, I love you. Sort of mental embrace, and then we come back to the breath, really emphasizing a sense of gentleness and friendliness to ourselves. Thought arises, I love you. Come back to the breath. At this point, I'm going to invite you to bring to mind an image of yourself. This image could be what you saw in the mirror last. It could be an image of you in your favorite outfit. But just imagine that there's another image of you almost like across the table from yourself. You can bring to mind the way that you smile or the way that you do your hair, something that makes it feel vivid. You might even notice judgment start to arise. Oh, I don't like the way I look, or why am I wearing that outfit? Whatever is coming up, see if you can just remain in a place of open-heartedness. We're going to make some aspirational phrases for our own well-being, and you can repeat these after me in your own head, or at the volume just below a whisper, so only you can hear, whichever you prefer. But softening our heart towards ourselves, we make the aspirations. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I feel safe. May I feel loved. As you say these things, just let the words land. Notice how it feels. You might notice various stories come up. What would it mean for me to be happy today? What sort of safety do I desire? That's fine. Those can come up. We can explore it, but then we move on to the next phrase. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I feel safe. May I feel loved. Last time, may I be happy. May I be healthy. May I feel safe. May I feel loved. There's another aspiration for your own well-being that you would like to make, feel free to do so at this time. May I know peace, may I feel joy, whatever it might be. When you're ready, you can let this image dissolve, and we'll take a deep breath along the way, breathing in, breathing out, letting the image go. Notice how you're feeling as we come to the end of the meditation session. Any feeling of openness or acceptance or friendliness, whatever is coming up for you is fine, but just take a moment to look, to explore. When you're ready, you can either open your eyes or raise your gaze, coming into a larger awareness of the environment around you. Transitioning out of meditation, ideally with more of a sense of relaxation, but in particular relaxing into being comfortable with who you are. Meditation is first and foremost the process of getting to understand, befriending, and ultimately learning to love ourselves. If you need to run at this point, please feel free to exit the class, go do your thing, but I'm going to just talk for a few minutes about this concept of offering love to ourselves, do a short reading from the book. And if you have questions, I would love to answer them. You can just type them into the chat box. I will immediately get to them. Reflections are good. What that was like for you, let me know. Was it easy to offer a sense of love to yourself? Was it hard? What's the hang-up? Anything you want to share is more than warmly welcomed. And if you would like to write it anonymously, just write the word anonymous at the top and I will not share your name. Meditation, particularly mindfulness meditation, which is what we started with, And then we moved into loving kindness meditation for ourselves. The mindfulness meditation gets this rep for training the mind to be present. And it's exactly what it does, right? We notice that the mind wanders off, we acknowledge it, we come back, we are training the mind, we're creating new neural pathways that allow us to be present. Awesome. This is a Lodro thing, this isn't a scientific thing, but percentage-wise, I do believe that like half the practice is like learning to be present. But the other half is actually learning to be kind to ourselves. Because every time we do drift off, we are given a choice. We can either say, oh my God, you jerk. Why can't you just be with the body breathing? Everyone else in this room is doing it except for you. You're the one who keeps getting distracted. And tell ourselves lots of stories around self-aggression. That is one choice that we can make, and maybe you've noticed that tendency to sort of beat yourself up for not meditating properly or doing a good job or whatever it might be. The other choice, the better choice in my opinion, is to be really kind to ourselves. Oh, my mind wandered off. That's what happens. Okay, not a big deal. Let's come on back to the breath. I often think about it like talking to a small child or coaxing a dog out from under the bed, right? It's like we want to be really gentle, but come on, just come on back. Come do the thing that we're trying to do here, It's just that sense of like absolute gentleness that we wouldn't yell at the dog or yell at the child. We would say, hey, come. We would just sort of coax the mind back in this case in a very gentle and loving way, which is why we would in this case offer these 3 magic words of I love you. That we would offer these words I love you to ourselves every time we drift off. To just acknowledge that we are okay, we're whole, we're complete as is. So the reading that's associated with today is the chapters. These are a bunch of short chapters in Love Hurts. It's What is Love? I'm just going to do a short reading from it. From a Buddhist point of view, love is innate to who we are. When we're hurt, we may try to shut down our heart and not be available for love. We want to protect ourselves, so we throw up some armor and try to harden ourselves against the world. Yet underneath all that armor, there's always some part of us that yearns to love. So this idea that love is inherent to who we are, it's just part of us, right? That there's some element here that true love is the natural energy of our own mind, and we just need to settle the mind enough that we can actually reveal it. So I'll skip ahead. Meditation is a tool for snipping the cords and the various threads of uncertainty and unearthing that raw and tender heart underneath. That vulnerable heart is incredibly powerful and strong. It is resilient. It possesses fathomless love. If we can drop our storylines around what a jerk we are, that powerful heart is ready to shine forth and cultivate a life that is full of good people we love and are loved by. And it goes on and talks about 4 ways of offering love that we'll cover later on in this particular series. And it ends with the idea that, of course, the foundation of loving all beings is starting with taking care of and loving yourself. As the teacher Pema Chodron has said, unconditional good heart toward others is not even a possibility unless we attend to our own demons. So first we attend to our demons, then we befriend our demons, then we grow to love our demons. When we can truly love our demons, we grow to love all aspects of who we are. At some point in that process, we learn to see and attend to the demons of others. So it becomes this sense of looking at the totality of who we are, which includes our demons or our negative tendencies or our bad habits or whatever we want to refer to them as, these strong emotions that sort of take over and keep us locked away from opening our heart to others. We can look at them, we can befriend them, we can ultimately see our way through to the point that we have more genuine connection to the sense of open-heartedness that we share with others. So Rebecca's typing in, saying thanks, and offering the prayer hands emojis, heart. Thank you for being here, Rebecca. It's really wonderful. And I also just want to welcome everyone who joined right as we got going with the class today, like Colleen and Bawani and Patricia and Timmy. It's good to see you all here. Thanks for being here. And again, if you have questions, if you have reflections about this topic, please type them into the chat box and I will get right to them. And I also just want to say, for anyone who did tune in late, this is the first day of a 5-week series every Monday to Friday at noon EST. And each week, yes, it's all relationships, but each week we'll have a different theme. So this week we are focusing entirely on how to offer more love to ourselves, to really befriend and share that sense of open-heartedness with ourselves before next week we move into how to offer love to others. In the 3rd week we talk about how to continue to offer love in long-term relationships, which of course can mean romantic relationships, it can also mean friendships, it can mean family. There's lots of different forms of relationships in our life, but how do we continue to offer love over long periods of time and continue to remain curious and open to people. In our fourth week, we talk about how to love no matter what, which is where we start to get into some of the obstacles to offering love to ourselves and others. And week 5 is how to love in the midst of heartbreak, where this book, Love Hurts, probably plays most prominently. So today we talked about what is love, because that was from the chapter, What is Love? The idea that love is innate to who we are, and meditation is such a beautiful process of getting us out of our own head and the anxiety of the day enough that we can connect to our own sense of love, that we can offer love to ourselves. And then it moves into tomorrow, we'll talk about struggling with the trance of unworthiness, which I'm wondering if maybe people are already starting to struggle with. This idea that maybe we are like, am I even worthy of love? Am I even offering love to myself, the love of others? A lot of us struggle with real strong sense of doubt in our ability. Like, yeah, everyone else is worthy of like love and happiness, but what about me? Maybe not me. We get into that more tomorrow. So it's certainly a juicy series, and Carly's saying, wonderful series. My mom's joining me today in each day of this series. That's awesome, particularly as we get into sort of the long-term relationships, because obviously, you know, we have lots of emotions around the people that we are in long-term relationships with. It could be a romantic partner, it could be a parent, it could be a child, it could be a sibling, it could be a great uncle that you see every Thursday. But the idea that we have certain habitual dynamics that we fall into, and might even, some of those dynamics might shut us off from love, and some of them might actually allow us to open further to love. Can we look at that dynamics? What is serving us? What do we want to cultivate? What do we need to cut out in order to have more love in those long-term relationships? I'm going to be very curious, Carly, and also Carly's mom, how that continues to develop, and that looking at what serves us, looking at what doesn't serve us in long-term relationships too. Ara saying, thank you, Lodro. My pleasure, Ara. I'm so glad you're able to be here. I'm so glad everyone's able to be here. This is really just the kicking off point, the jumping off point for these 5 weeks. Colleen saying this series is a great idea. Looking forward to it. Thank you. So glad that you can be here with us, Colleen. So glad that everyone's psyched about this. I am equally psyched about it. Again, if you are curious about going deeper with these things, like if you really want to make this like a 5-week curriculum, I do recommend getting the books, Love Hurts and How to Love Yourself and Sometimes Other People. Those are good resources because I unpack all of these things in more depth in those books. But you can certainly follow along without them as well. It's certainly not a big deal. Okay, looking forward to seeing you all again tomorrow at noon EST as we talk about the Trance of Unworthiness. Take care.